This presentation is going to give a brief introduction to the Caribou area of the Montney liquids play in northeast British Columbia. When liquids-rich parts of the Montney play in northeast British Columbia emerged and began to be developed in late 2013 and 2014, the Montney was thrust onto the scene as one of the most commercially attractive and compelling unconventional prospects in North America. A rush to find where new liquids-rich sweet spots might emerge along the play ensued as existing and aspiring Montney players started assessing new areas for land acquisition. TSM Montney recognised the Montney liquids play very early and invested a significant amount of time on understanding the play technically and buying land in the sweetest spots of the play. The Caribou area is the largest and most strategic land position we've acquired in the play to date, following smaller positions we had built at Two Rivers, a land package sold to Le Crotte in 2014, and Inga, a land package sold to Kelt in 2016. Like other unconventional plays, the heterogeneous nature of reservoir quality and liquids content within the Montney creates sweet spots both laterally and vertically within the section. Using an extensive digital well log dataset of over 1,400 wells, we identified the potential liquid sweet spots in the play using a regional common risk segment mapping approach. Calibrating from producing wells, we've also adapted that method to interpret estimated ultimate recovery and recovery factor along the entire play, allowing us to target our land acquisition in the most favourable spots. The TSM Montney acreage position at Caribou is currently at 60 sections, or 74,000 acres, and we anticipate this to rise to approximately 75 sections, or 84,000 acres, with additional land acquisition in early 2017. Saguaro Resources have recently released results of their drilling and early production in the Caribou-La Prise Montney liquids area. These 32 wells, all in production, lie directly on trend and adjacent to the TSM Montney position and provide the first de-risking data points for the area. Our regional mapping had highlighted the strong potential for high quality liquids to be produced in this area. However, the Saguaro wells are the first to validate that concept of the liquids play in the area. The well results are excellent. 3 Montney zones have been tested, all with very attractive commercial results. Because of the shallower depth of the Montney in this part of the basin, these wells are being drilled for between $1.7 and $2.4 million, some of the cheapest drilling in the play. The wells look like they will produce between 6 to 8 BCF over the life of the well, with very high liquids to gas ratios in the order of 60 barrels per million cubic feet of gas. If we look at a cross-section through the Saguaro wells extending to the northwest, we can compare the geology of the margin with several historic vertical wells which penetrate the Montney section in the TSM Montney land area. So the recent Saguaro wells are on the right of the section, the wells in the TSM Montney area are on the left. We're looking at the entire Montney section here, which is about 250 metres thick, allowing for those multiple target zones which you can see have been proven by the Saguaro wells. We're looking at porosity and resistivity on the logs, and you can start to see the continuation of the pay characteristics extending over the well correlation. The zones of high porosity and high resistivity targeted by the Saguaro wells clearly being present on the existing wells in the area of the TSM Montney land. When we take a step back and look at some of those important characteristics to the play from our regional play fairway mapping, again we can start to feel very comfortable about the comparable characteristics between the Saguaro and TSM Montney areas. I've left the line of that cross-section on these maps for a location reference. The Saguaro and TSM Montney areas sit together on basin strike, so show very similar geological characteristics. The map on the top left is the digital terrain model and shows where the two areas sit with regard to the deformation belt. The terrain is very similar between the two areas, and a series of north-northwest, south-southeast trending surface anticlines can be seen cutting through the area. The drilling depth to the Montney is comparable in both the Saguaro and TSV TMK Montney areas. The top Montney here sits between 1,400 metres and 1,600 metres drilling depth. The areas show very similar pressure characteristics, both areas sitting within the 10.5 to 12 kPa per metre pressure window. And in the liquids-gas ratio mapping we'd completed in our technical due diligence, we'd anticipated similar liquid yields between the Saguaro and the TSV TMK Montney areas, potentially even a little more liquids rich in the TSV TMK Montney Caribou area. When we look at our net pay mapping for the basin for both the upper and middle Montney on the map on the left and the lower Montney on the map to the right, we can see comparable predictions of pay between the two areas, potentially even thicker pay developing in the TSV TMK Montney area in the upper and middle Montney. The upper and middle Montney in the Caribou area has net pay calculated up to 100 metres from a Pickett plot of resistivity and porosity, and in the lower Montney the Caribou area has a net pay calculated from Pickett of up to 60 metres. The high quality rock potential of the Caribou area did not go unnoticed. Back in 2010, Encana published their understanding of what at the time was only considered a tight gas play, and they, as you can see on this map here, had identified the Caribou area of being a sweet spot in the basin based on the high rock quality recognised in the existing wells there. What wasn't recognised back in 2010 was the potential of the Montney High Liquids Fairway, which has subsequently developed on the outer margin of the play. The Caribou area couples that high quality rock with high quality liquids potential, now proven by the recent Saguaro wells. So what does it look like in terms of potential reserves? If we look at the Saguaro area first, they are looking at a reserve estimate of over 12 TCF of gas and 328 million barrels of liquids, assuming their average type curve of 7 BCF per well and 185,000 barrels of liquids. On the TSV TMK Montney land, we recognise over 730 locations throughout the area. Using the Saguaro 7 BCF type curve, this gives us a reserve estimate of over 5 TCF of gas and 135 million barrels of liquids. The reason we can establish so many locations is because of the multi-layer, multilateral pad-based drilling developments we are seeing in the Montney, as well as other North American unconventional developments. What makes the Montney, and in particular the Caribou area, most attractive is the shallower nature of the reservoir here and the associated attractive economics. Our full development plan would require an estimate of 33 surface well pad locations and an estimated 75 kilometres of pipeline for development tie-in. If we look at the single well economics, and we'll just take the Saguaro well economics as our example here, we can see at both the 6 BCF and 8 BCF type wells that these things are looking good. IRRs for the 6 BCF and 8 BCF type wells at 43% and 89% respectively. This is our development concept for the Caribou area. The development concept assumes 80% of the identified well locations to be produced, so a total of 585 wells with an average type curve of 7 BCF. This delivers 4 TCF of gas and 110 million barrels of liquids over the life of the project, with a plateau production rate of 500 million cubic feet of gas a day. So in conclusion, Montney well economics in the Caribou area are robust at current prices. The play additionally benefits from the US dollar to Canadian dollar exchange rate. The land targeted and acquired at Caribou offers a substantial play entry scale position. The entire lease position can be held with less than 10 wells. New pipeline routes are being approved in the area to ease gas infrastructure constraints in northeast British Columbia. And FID on West Coast LNG projects, which are anticipated in 2017, will create another step change in the value proposition. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, then please feel free to email me at ianc@ver.com.au.